The end of April, beginning of May, every turkey hunter in the UP is fired up looking for gobblers. Tonight we'll take a step-by-step look at the hows and whys of turkey hunting.
When you're playing that call and you're outsmarting that gobbler in his turf and his terrain, and you get him to commit and you bag that bird, there's nothing better than that.
9 million acres of forest, 1,700 miles of continuous shoreline, 4,300 lakes, 12,000 miles of streams, more than 300 waterfalls, 15 counties, 2 time zones, and 1 area code. Welcome to the Upper Peninsula. Welcome to 906 Outdoors. "906 Outdoors" is brought to you in part by Cooking Wild Seasonings. Make it fresh, make it yours. Get yours today at cookingwildseasonings.com. As we roll further into spring, the number of outdoor activities continues to increase. Trout season is open, camping is right around the corner, and it's turkey season. In the UP, turkey season runs from around the 3rd week in April until the end of May. For turkey hunters, there's no better time of year. Those who turkey hunt, you already know. For those who have never tried it, you need to find out. It's a great time of year to be in the woods. And if you can learn what it takes to trick a turkey into your sights, you'll be hooked. Every hunt will be different than the last, and not the same as the next. But there are some similarities that show up in most hunts. I connected up with turkey hunting fanatic Darren Grundon to talk about some of these similarities and for a morning of hunting.
Well, the night before, actually, if I can get an eye on the birds and watch them headed up to roost, you got a better idea where they're at. Get out there in the morning, and I like to give an owl hoot to pin them down. Traditionally owl hoot, but I got a coyote call, and it was my brother Curtis's. My dad found it this year, and I started using that, and that can really reach out and get them going. And you can hear a lot of birds with that. They tend to gobble the coyotes and owl hoot, called a shot gobble. I use this for locating the majority of the time. It's loud and they can hear it, and it's located a lot of birds. I just yelp on it and cluck, and that seems to get them fired up a little bit. We got one gobbling. Got 2 over here, 1 over there. We're gonna go try set up on these 2, see if we can get a double going here. Dan Bartel, Kyle Bartel on the shotguns. Let's make it happen. Once I locate them, get closer to them or move on them, I'll use this a little bit more. Once I get an ear on them, try to get as close as we can and get set up without getting busted. I carried 2 hens and a Jake decoy. I just picked up a Jake decoy for the first time this year. It's been working real well. It depends on where we're sitting at and how the birds are reacting. Sometimes I'll put the decoys out in front of the hunter, or sometimes I'll bring them back by me and I'll sit back 100 yards from the hunter, because a lot of them old mature gobblers will come 70, 80 yards and just strut back and forth looking for that hen and wanting that hen to come to him.
"906 Outdoors" is brought to you in part by Blades Bait and Tackle, your year-round connection to fishing bait enoch.
If I hear a gobble in the tree, it depends on how close they are, or how far, or how much wind. With my box call, it's real high pitch, so if they're out there a ways or it's windy, I'll use that so they can hear it. And if I hear them fly down, I'll change to the mouth call. Well, the mouth calls, they limit the use of movement, because a turkey can see your movement very well. They have good eyesight. I don't buy any ones in particular, whatever sounds good to me, but there's a couple kinds I like to use. Raspy, you see here a lot of raspy hens. I like to use raspy. There's some higher pitched ones to get out there and so they can hear you farther distance out. But when in close, I use raspy ones, and you know, you don't have to move with a mouth call. Well, once they start closing the distance, I tone it down a little bit. When I see them, I change to my slate call and start purring on it. I really like purring on my slate call when they get real close. That seems to draw them in. Switch back and forth from my mouth call to my slate call. I get them in sight. My dad always told me not to call when they can see you because they know where it's coming from, and he's absolutely right. But I can't stand, I like to hear them gobble. This morning on Kyle Bartel's hunt, went out to one of the spots and we located one. We got sat up on him and he was gobbling and the hens were yelping behind us. And then we heard 4 or 5 more off to the north. And they came in on a line, come over the crest of the hill, seen the decoys, and ran right into the setup, and Kyle smacked one. Well, the reason why the gobblers are responding, it's springtime is breeding season for the turkeys, and they're looking for a mate. And they're gonna come check it out, hopefully get close enough to get a shot. And that's why they respond to them hen calls. I sometimes use a shock gobble too to intimidate that gobbler, think there's another Tom on his turf and he's gonna come in there and beat up on him. That tends to work once in a while. Here you go, Curdy. A little early morning action for you, butter. When the bird's coming in and I haven't put eyes on them yet, I'll use a mouth call. But when they get in and I can see them or I know they're a lot closer, I'll switch to my slate call. And if they hang up there, I purr and putt at them. I just try as softly as I can because they know where that sound's coming from. But that purr, they tend to like that purr and they commit to the setup. Well, the sun's barely coming up. We already got one in the back of the truck. Dan Bartel's up on the shotgun. We're gonna go after a big gobbler we seen, been scouting, so. You guys, boys ready or what?
Ready. Go.
All right, let's do it.
Getting a tom to let you know where he is can be half the battle. Darren spends a considerable amount of time in the preseason scouting for turkeys and getting hunting permission from landowners. We traveled from spot to spot to spot and spent a good portion of the rest of the morning calling, and calling. After covering a modest part of 2 counties, calling with box calls and coyote calls, just as hope was dwindling, birds. Turns out, just looking for birds doesn't work so bad either. The hunt was on. Today's show is brought to you in part by Rapid River Knife Works. home of Michigan's largest custom knife factory showroom.
Sometimes I got a bad habit of calling when I'm walking into a setup just to hear them gobble, and that tends to draw them in. And the decoy setup sometimes is just, you know, what you can do, where you can get away with. And sometimes I'll just stuff them in the ground right by the hunter or next to me or wherever I can get away without them birds seeing me. And most of the time they see them decoys, they're gonna come in. So on our second hunt this morning, I was going down to check some spots, and we looked up to our right on a ridge, and there was birds strutting all over that place. I about had a heart attack. Went, parked, got set up, went in there one way at them, and I come over a little knob there and seen them, backed out, kind of assessed the situation, went around to a better setup so we weren't gonna get, you know, busted by them birds. And we set up, got the decoys out, started calling, first call, they gobbled, and that's a big mistake right there. So I kept working them, and they flanked us to our right. All of a sudden, all you know, there's 4 jakes that run 3 feet away from Dan and pounded the decoys and purring and fighting and spitting and drumming. I think that's the closest that I've ever seen a turkey get to a human being on a setup like that. And the 3 longbeards hung up in the back, and I started purring, and they committed a little bit, but they knew the gig was up. You know, they knew something wasn't right. And Dan made a very, very great shot. He had a snap shoot. He swung, bang, dead.
Oh, that's a hammer, baby! Nice snaps too, brother. I love you. That was close. There you go. Oh, look at the rope, Dan! Oh, look at the hook. Oh my God! Nice. Oh, dude, did you see him pummel the decoy? Yes. Yeah, they were right next to us. Congratulations, Dano. Thank you. What do you think, Kyle? That was awesome. I was breathing. I couldn't stop shaking, and I wasn't. It was 50 yards away. You know, as soon as the toms come up and they saw rope on him, yeah, they go put. I'm like, man. Hopefully I could pull this off. You know, I literally had to go. Oh yeah, I watched you. And then I couldn't find him in my scope. You know? Look at the hangers. That's what we call them hanger. This does not get old. Nope. At all. That's funny. Yeah. Oh, good job, buddy. Good job. You had a strong fight.
I mean, I was almost right behind you.
Yeah, that's a...
906 Outdoors is brought to you in part by Christ, your Northwoods neighborhood store.
Did I get their heads stretch
I can't
out?
find them in my scope.
Huh? Did I get their heads to stretch out when I was cackling loud? This happened so quick, eh?
That's beyond turkey hunting 101.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
years of turkey
Yes.
hunting experience to be able to pull that one off.
Best of snap shooting, Dan Bartel right there, baby.
Thanks for getting me into turkey hunting there, buddy. Love you, man.
Yep. But you could have seen that, Curdy. I think you did, though, brother. Oh. Congratulations, Dan.
Thank you. I'd like to dedicate this hunt to my close friend, Greg Anderson from Munising, who passed away after a tough battle with cancer back in February. He's a great friend, great father, and great husband. And he always wanted to get out turkey hunting with me, but he's a very dedicated businessman, hardworking, and busy time of year for him, and he could just never make it. And Greg, I love you. This one's for you, buddy.
Congratulations, Dan. Nice shot, buddy. Nice shot. Way to snap.
Hunting is described as the activity of hunting wild animals or game, especially for food or sport. Anyone who has really hunted can tell you in an instant just how incomplete that definition is. For certain, harvesting your own food directly from nature is part of it. But it's also about enjoying the outdoors. Enjoying a day in the woods with good friends. Accomplishment, satisfaction, peace of mind, and about being where you are and not where you're not. It's always about learning, whether on purpose or by chance. Lessons from others, together with your own experiences. Always working toward becoming a better hunter, not just during the hunt, but before and after as well.
You can overcall at them and spook them. And my dad's been trying to teach me this since I was a kid, to have patience and sit there and wait for them ones that come in there. It hasn't worked yet, but but you get them lone gobblers sometimes. They come in back doors, quiet, don't gobble, and next thing you know, you hear behind you, he's there.
It's the satisfaction that comes when you test what you've learned and everything works like it's supposed to, and all the pieces fall in place.
For example, on Dan Bartel's hunt, we got in there and they were gobbling, and I didn't want to get any closer to bust the bird, so I stuck the decoys right next to Dan, and I told Dan, I said, you're gonna have to sit still because the decoys are next to you. And I didn't know the birds were gonna come 3 feet away from him, and that was pretty cool to watch. And his son was sitting next to me, and that one Jake started thumping on my decoy, and Kyle let a little chuckle out there. He's laughing at it. He thought that was pretty comical, whooping up on my decoy.
It's about sharing the hunt and the day with friends at your side, both in body and in spirit. And then sharing what you've learned with others.
It all depends on the setup, the bird, the terrain. I don't know, it's just instinct to me. I mean, there's hundreds of scenarios that run through my head at the time, and I just go with the best one. And I mean, every setup is different, every bird's different. It's a spur of the moment thing. I mean, I do what I think is gonna work. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that's why they call it hunt, not killing.
If you hunt, you're part of it. It takes all of us together to make hunting what it should be.
We had another successful, great year, full of memories. We harvested 8 birds. I'd like to thank Joe and everybody else at camp for another extremely great year.
Joe's son was at the NWTF banquet this winter, and I drew the winning ticket for my brother Curtis's shotgun, and Joe's son, Devin, won that gun, and that was his first turkey, first hunt with Curtis's gun, so it meant special to me, and I could not be able to do that without the permission of the landowners. I'd like to thank everybody who allows me to have permission to hunt on their property, and let me experience and the joy and the passion and excitement and share it with others is very special. So I like to thank everybody who allows me to hunt.
The activity of hunting wild animals or game, especially for food or sport. We're going to need a lot more space in the dictionary than that. We're all hunters together. Some are shooters, some are callers, some are teachers, and some, the special ones, can think like a deer and act like a turkey.
What makes it exciting? My dad took me out my first time when I was 12 years old. He called in a woods birds, and they're a prize to me and my brother Curtis and my dad. And they're very hard. They're a lot harder to hunt than these farm birds, but I'll never forget the feeling when they were gobbling. I could feel it in my chest, and when they were close enough spitting and drumming, it literally shook the ground underneath me. And if that don't get your heart pumping and your blood flowing, you don't belong in the spring turkey woods at all. And I'm addicted to it. It's in my blood, it's in my family. I mean, I've gotten numerous of friends that through connections of turkey hunting. The camp I come to, great bunch of guys, and it's the best time of the year for me, and I look forward to it. And I can't really explain it. Just when they start gobbling and spitting and drumming and they commit to when you're playing that call and you're outsmarting that gobbler in his turf and his terrain, and you get him to commit and you bag that bird, there's nothing better than that.
Feel free to join us on Facebook or visit us at 906outdoors.com. And while you're there, be sure to sign up to get on the 906 Outdoors email list. We'll send you an occasional email with tips, recipes, and more. You'll also be eligible for giveaways just for being on the list. Thanks for watching, and we invite you to join us next week for another adventure right here on 906 Outdoors.